Welcome back to This Week in Showdown with your host Bob and co-host Jeff. Welcome back, Jeff.
Hey everyone, I'm here. I'm Jeff. This Week in Showdown.
It's like,
Way
listen,
better when you do it.
I
will
told
not.
you.
I will
got
not
that
do
nasal.
that anymore. Yeah, I will not do it anymore. That was the first and last time. If I ever do it again, you're gonna hear just a cut sound.
Yeah.
And you're gonna Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, we lost Jeff.
Yeah, we've no longer. I've muted you.
You just kicked me off. It's
Yeah.
not even that I left. You just are like, that was the worst thing I've ever heard. Jeff's gone.
This week we got a bunch of new faces. We were talking a little bit off air about best 25 and our 25. A lot of them didn't make the list this week, but man, some of these guys that we were talking that this is roughly about the COVID mark. So like Vlad Guerrero Jr. is like the best in the league. You got Tatis Jr., Acuna Jr., Jacob deGrom. These guys are all having amazing seasons. Actually, I think they would put their other cards to shame. Their COVID cards.
Right. No, deGrom would be like the greatest pitcher of all time. If
Yeah.
he ended the set right now. Yeah. There's a podcast I like that I've been listening to a lot for. Ringer is fine, give or take. Like, I don't like Bill Simmons, but they have some great staff writers, and one of the baseball pods they have did a 25 players under 25, so it was a late ranking, which of course makes everybody mad. And of course, if a lot of variety, but the top four was pretty solid of four players. It was Soto, Acuna Jr., Tatis Jr., and Vlad Jr. And the question was, who is number one? Right? Who is number one? Everybody was kind of fluctuating back and forth, and I was gonna. Who was your number one, Bob?
Right when you say 25 and 25, the first name that comes to my head is Juan Soto. I think he's the best overall player in baseball. I think he has the best eye. And if I'm building a team, I really feel like I think he's the most consistent player. I can really rely on him. Tatis, it feels like a glass cannon. I feel like he's going to get hurt a lot, which makes me nervous. Acuna Jr. is probably one of the better, stronger hitters. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. is the best power hitter in that list. So I don't know. And then 5, we talked about being Bo Bichette could be a flux.
Yeah, five. Yeah. There was kind of like a steep drop off. Number 5 was Bo Bichette, but it seemed solid that Vlad was 4 in their list. Juan was 1, and then kind of Tatis and Acuna Jr. Tatis Jr. Acuna Jr. were kind of fluctuating 2 and 3, which I actually agree with. I think honestly, like I was saying this again off air, like there's some part of me that says like Vlad Jr. might be my number 1, and like I know he's had less time.
He needs to prove it like this year and like say next year.
And I think like if he can do it the rest of this year, then I think he is solidly in that conversation. That just not be one of the best players. He would be maybe number 1 on that list.
I was just googling it to see like who's 20 like Brian Hayes is on that list.
Yep,
like that's interesting.
He was on that list. The one interesting tidbit that again we can get to the cards is that these particular guys did not there were really no pitchers on their list.
There's like Sixto Sanchez, and they're like low down the list.
There was not many. It was Sixto Sanchez. I think the highest ranked one was Ian Anderson. And that was
Dustin May's on this. I like Dustin May. I think he's got a strong career if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, Dustin May, that was the thing they were worried about. He was kind of towards the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at too.
But yeah, not a ton. There's a
lot. The problem with 25-year-olds is they've only been playing for a few years, so you only have like 1 or 2 years to go on. Like Lewis Roberts had an amazing 1 year, but like I need like another year.
Yeah,
and that's what I was saying about Juan Soto. I feel like every year he's a stud.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable for like 3 straight years now. And like for pitchers, if you include 26, that's where like you can get Bieber, I think Giolito. And so that's where it like starts like clearly I
didn't know how old they were.
It's interesting because like that's like a pretty top tier, even top tier last year and the year before. So like it's interesting that right now we don't have really, except for Ian Anderson maybe, like we don't have like a 24-year-old and 25-year-old like top tier pitchers in the league right now. It's kind of a weird, and especially in a league that's just so pitching dominated.
Yes.
So which is really interesting. So, but then again, they could be coming up. Dominate, and then they're there.
Correct. So as always, This Week in Showdown is brought to you by MLB Card Bot, Showdown Bot. The only reason I'm able to make these cards is because of Showdown Card Bot, ShowdownBot.com at MLB Showdown Bot on Twitter. Matt Gould does a great job. He updates us all the time, and I make these cards like the day of, using like fantasy rankings and ESPN rankings to give this to the top like four hitters and one bottom, and top 4 pitchers and one bottom. And the only reason we're able to do that is Showdown Card Bot. So definitely check that out. And we love Matt.
He's our man. We love him. It's amazing that the day the season is over, everybody and their brother can go and just make the entire 2021 set from his card bot. And yeah, I was talking to my friends today about how amazing it is. So yeah, shout out to him.
And finally, we're going to bring you to the number 1 player of the week was Starling Marte. He had 4 stolen bases, 5 RBIs, 2 homers, and had an on base this week of 548, bringing his on base for the season up to 439. Woo. So he's getting a 10 on base. And we were looking at this card. We were just in awe of the card itself being only 2 outs and then like such a low walk range.
Right. There's only one problem with this card, and it's that it's a speed B.
Yeah,
right.
It's like is that a problem?
Right. Like that's maybe it only matters in the scope of having 14 to 16 single plus, but getting an 18 speed on our rules for a steal is pretty good. And my God, 1 to 2 out, 3 to 6 walk. That's pretty low. 7 single. His outfield defense is great. He's not even that much. We were talking offline that if he was a speed A, all of a sudden he's 580.
Well, so I just Googled Bobby Abreu, 2000. It was 3 outs, 4 through 9 walk, 2 homers, just like this, but had the triple. Speed A, left field, right field, only +1 was 550. So this is pretty right in there. I feel like you're right. If this guy is an A speed, he's 560, 570.
And that's interesting because then we know 2000 overvalued hitters. So an 01 standards, if he was 550, that means he's probably 530. And 520, which puts him right at this card, which is really interesting. So they're very equal.
The 01 version had the A speed +2 left field, right field at 510 points. Yeah. But he has 4 outs and 5 through 10 walk, and that's where I was saying this card I think is much more valuable. But man, it's just how much do you favor that A speed? How much do you value it?
No, I think if this card exists how it is, I honestly think it's in a let's say 8 or 12 team draft. I think this card goes first 2 rounds.
Yeah, this card's very strong.
I've yelled this on every podcast. Your top picks have to be doing so many different things at once. It just can't be 1 or 2 things. This is a multi-tool card.
Yeah, very strong.
It's magnificent.
I really love the 3 through 6 walk. That thing that's pretty stellar.
Yeah.
Speaking of walks, Isaiah Kiner Falefa,
I think.
Falafel?
Not falafel. Isaiah Hummus Falafel. No, I shouldn't say that.
I love this guy. He's on my fantasy team, offline in a fantasy league, and he's incredible. He gets stolen bases all the time. He got 5 this week, bringing his total to 15 for the season. Only thing that's hurting him right now is the on base 7. And I feel like if he can keep up a better pace, because he only has a 330 on base for the season, he had 440 this week. He really can bring that up to an 8. And we were talking that even at 7, it's pretty draftable at 210. It's shortstop +4, but an 8, maybe 290 is really strong.
Right. Also, shout out that a Texas Ranger showed up on our list here.
I know.
I don't think that's happened this year.
It happened once. It's the rookie.
Oh, okay, cool.
What's his face? Adolis or
Adolis Garcia.
Yeah,
he's having a remarkable year. But yeah, no, it's this card again shortstop defense. We know that especially in 2001 cards, there was a lot of those guys, and they usually get picked over, especially if they're low points. But it's usually the middle guys that's tough. But I still think that they get picked over, and this feels exactly properly weighted. I think that the 1 to 3 out is awesome. There's no walk, 4 single, but a big single range. On base 7's not great, but it's a thing. And again, I think it's a perfect, exactly what the points should be for this card.
Yeah, I think it's great. Again, I'd love to see him as 8, but hey, you keep going, Isaiah. Next up, I don't even know how this card exists right now. And Max Stassi, he's a catcher. He's blowing everything out of the wire. Again, small sample size. Only got 62 at-bats of the season. But he picks up 3 homers this week, 8 RBIs, 3 doubles, 9 runs. Had a 478 this week, bringing his total to 397 on base for the season with 5 homers. So he's got this wacky card. Obviously I don't think he can continue this pace, but this is Mike Piazza, like with an arm.
Yeah. No, right.
It's so strong. Like a 16 home run here with a 9 is like every time I see it, think of Barry Bonds or Griffey. Obviously, he's not fast, but on a strong arm catcher, you're talking about like Tom Lampkin with more power.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, that Piazza was definitely +3 arm. I remember
The which one?
plus the 2001.
The 2001 was a +3 arm, I believe.
And I think he was 470 and he was an
Bringing
on
it up
base
right now.
9.
+3 arm or 450 +3 arm 17 through 20 home run.
Huh.
So
Okay.
yeah, this card, and then again, so how much do you value that arm? This guy's extra home run and 5 more power.
Yeah.
I like the 00 version, though I've actually done well with that 9 on base. But the 00 version's funny because he's the 16 homer, but he's an 8 at a +4 arm. So for 180 more points, you get 1 more on base and +4 more arm. That's more comparable, I think.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Crazy small sample size. This is kind of like the equivalent of us seeing a week 2 or week 3 guy and just doing well. And hey, we're seeing more Angels players that are on a team that's never going to make the playoffs, so that's fun. But
How much do you like Tom Lampkin from the 00 set?
Oh, I need to.
So
somehow...
he's an I thought with this card it seems like okay. He's an 8 on base, but he's a +9 arm, and he's 18 through 20, but he's 340, and he's speed B. So that's always like people either draft like him or Jason Kendall or like Ivan Rodriguez type things. You know what I mean? So again, another Ivan's an 8. So it's
this Lampton card. This is it's okay. This is for 3. Yeah, no, I remember.
He's
this.
solid.
What? Yeah, this is crazy. This is like
Ivan's 450 for like an 8 speed with obviously a ridiculous arm, but like with less power. So it's just a wild. It's hard to compare this card because I don't really think of many cards to compare to it. But 590 seems like way too much, but like 500 something feels right.
Yeah, it's this card would not get chosen probably, but it'll normalize. He'll probably still have a great arm. I was actually just looking at catcher defense today to see who was doing well. That was just something I was
like so
doing.
Barry Bonds is 560 and he's an A speed that's a 9 16 through 20. That's why I feel like he should be like 560, 550, 540, somewhere in that range. Though maybe catcher's just that tougher position, so it's harder to get.
For sure. Yeah.
Next up, that guy you talked about, Bo Bichette, bringing the 5th 25 under 25. He's getting the 4 spot this week. Had a great week. He had 2 homers, a stolen base, 483 on base, bringing his total for the season up to 329. Another interesting card. Another 7 on base shortstop with decent fielding, a little bit less, and some pop. So,
dude,
this one's got more home runs.
If we're talking salary league, though, I'm going Kiner Falefa.
Oh yeah, I like Isaiah better.
I get the 17 to 20 home run is great.
Either. And 4 through 5 walk.
That's a lot of home runs, though.
I know, but this is 80 more points. That's why it's interesting.
But Falefa has the single plus at 14 still, and like I just wish he was faster. I wish he was speed. If he was speed A, it would be no question.
I wonder if and again we'll see what Matt and Peter do by the end of the season. This is just the bot. It just does C, B, and A. Because I feel like Isaiah's like on either a high B or a low A speed. I mean, he's like 2nd or 3rd in the league in stolen bases. So I assume he's going to end up being higher. But we'll see.
He's got to bump up. Agreed.
But it is interesting. And then last up, we got the not the player of the week, the loser of the week is Rhys Hoskins. So it sucks to see him because he usually puts up at least a decent power card, but struggling a bit. He went what is it? He went 0 for 19 this week with a 136 on base percentage with 1 run, and has an on base now of 316 for the season. So you get this really weird power card, like a 7 that strikes out a lot, but then a 17 home run for only 160. That's like what's weird about it. It's like it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, no, it's still not bad. And actually, I'm making a quick card for a player that is like similar in terms of their streak. They're just terrible streak. But no, this card's for first base. Like I think it's totally fine. If you're gonna punt there, that's fine. And for what he does, like this card. I mean, it's pretty draftable.
Well, yeah, for 160. I mean, that's why I like seeing these cards, like the random cards, because it's like, okay, well, here's a guy who you're not going to see on everyone's like hot list because no one's making cards of Rhys Hoskins right now. But it's cool to see what would he actually be right now, and it's like that's for the value. It's not too bad.
No, and so the one player I was really excited when he got called up, especially because of that whole Kevin Mather Mariners dumb Rotary Club video, amazing Rotary Club video. I should say, he spilled every secret in the MLB that everybody knew. But was when Jared Kelenic got pulled out, brought up to the Mariners. Did super well in his first 3 games, and then I think he went like 0 for 39.
Didn't they demote him?
And then he got demoted. But I put in his card, and then of course the Mariners came to Cleveland. I went to the game, and I was like, I wanted to see Jared Kelenic. Anyway, yeah, his card is bad. He's 10 points on base for speed. He does have good outfield defense, but he is also the true outcomes. He's 1 to 5 strikeout, 7 to 13 walk, 14 to 20 home run. He only has a 6 fly ball, so it is a rough card, and he's speed C too. So anyway, hopefully that picks up. But
well, let's switch over now to the hot team in baseball. The Chicago Cubs have been tearing it up lately. Excuse me. Craig Kimbrell picks up 4 saves this week with 3.1 innings and no earned runs. His ERA for the season, 0.66. So,
damn.
I mean, it's like, that's crazy because he's beating Jacob deGrom, except Jacob deGrom pitches 6 innings every game. This card's pretty wild. He's got 45 strikeouts, 27 innings. I'm surprised Craig Kimbrell is still pitching so well. I felt like he was going on the decline, but he's not right now. Now this card seems way too expensive.
It does. I know that, like, so we've talked to, because we had a card show up in here. It was
yeah, I talked to him about some of that.
It was Jensen, wasn't it? Or wasn't it Kenley Jensen? Right, with Jensen.
Yes, and I talked to him about that. We were trying to figure out what the right
so
thing
he
for
did,
that is.
yeah, he did tweak it a bit. Because like these cards, like that card like that just did not exist. Like it. Like just like I guess like his 2001 the formula that he kind of the regression analysis he did to create the formula for the 2001 cards on his bot was not ready for the stats of that card. And
yeah,
like this is kind of similar, and I think that's what's happening. But we did know that they not only did the closer bonus kind of exist in 01, but they started really not only did they bump up the 2000 reliever points, but they like over kind of like exceeded it. So I think that's kind of part of what he's doing. Like again, like these are cards that are going to normalize out. So are we going to have somebody this good? Probably not. But yeah, no.
I mean, what a card! I mean, it's a 6. So let's disregard the points because we just don't know what they're going to be. But exactly. A 6 closer that's 1 through 17 out. This reminds me of Billy Wagner, who's a 5 1 through 18 out, and then there's like no doubles. Got the 1 single here.
He's a tier 0.
Pretty freaking dominant.
This card looks badass, but it's a beautiful cutout, by the way.
Yeah, I this is like the one where he's not leaning over. I thought it was kind of cool that it like pulled him back a little bit when he's actually throwing.
It looks great, and yeah, no, this is similar. I was just this is basically I'm trying to think. No, I was gonna say this is even better than like some of the. It's not. Is it Jesse Hahn that's a control 6? Yeah, he's a control 6, and I think he's 18 walk. No, I think it's the same chart. I think the Jesse Hahn in 2020 is exactly this chart, this card basically.
How many points was he?
I think in our formulas, he might have been 290.
Okay, so that feels a much closer to what I felt like 300 was the right number. So 290, yeah. Who knows? But that obviously 410. Let's just disregard
just crazy,
that. Yeah.
Crazy card though. Amazing
but
card.
Amazing for him. So again, going back to those hot Cubs, Zach Davies did great this week. He had 2 wins in 12.2 innings, 10 strikeouts, no earned runs. For the season, brought him down a little bit. He's at 4 ERA, 4.01. Kind of a handful of walks, but last 2 outings have been really good. He actually has 4 of his four of his last 5 outings have been really good. Doesn't pitch a lot of innings, so he's got the IP5, but a 4 control, 1 through 15 out for 360. Feels a little pricey. I feel like I wouldn't want to spend more than 300 points on a guy like this. Yeah, but it's cool to see someone new on the list.
No, I'm not. Good for him. Glad he's doing well. I guess the Cubs are fine. I don't love the Cubs, but I don't think either one of us do. But no, it's good for them. But yeah,
I only like Anthony Rizzo because I think he's just such a good person.
Yeah, I will. This card, Zach Davies, never draft this card.
No,
so that's
just way too expensive. Like 330 is like a 6 IP3 control at like the same sort of arena. So I feel like This should be like 300 points. But either way. Next up, a super interesting card. I think you'll like this one, is Robbie Ray. So I have him in our fantasy league for the 2020 where he's a 1 control and he has a home run and he's 10 points. So now he's 330 and he's a 6 control that gives him a homer.
So you sent these cards like about 2 p.m. today?
Yeah, I don't know what I got.
It's 9:30. It's 9:30 now, and I've like been thinking about this card since you sent it to me because I was just like, what the fuck? Like,
I know for 330.
Do I draft this card? Is it great? Like he's a tier 2 for 330? Like that's really good, but he has a double and he's a home run. Like
I still think you draft him for 330. You get a 6. You get a tier 2 control pitcher. Yeah. He can go 8 innings. I mean, I don't know if you want him to.
It's this one. Right. I do think
people listening, comment below. Are you drafting Robbie Ray?
Right. I think version. I know our leagues. I know the people in our leagues. This card 100% gets drafted. You know.
So, I feel like someone eventually gonna draft him. It's just. Would you, the person that's listening, or you, Jeff, draft this guy?
In Jeff bad pitcher, which by the way, my team, I have the worst starting rotation in the league, and
just beat me 2-0 clean sweep.
I know clean, and I maybe Robbie Ray could have been my number 1. I don't know. This card is it's a bananas card. I love that eventually in the future world when we print these out for ourselves to play. I love that this card will exist. Like,
oh yeah,
happy.
Yeah, it's just wild. Anyway. Framber Valdez brings up the last good pitcher of the week. He goes 14 innings this week, 2 wins, 10 strikeouts, 1.26 ERA. He actually has a 1.42 ERA in the season. He hasn't been pitching a lot, only a handful of starts, but he's 3-0. And his last 4 outings have been really good. Only let up 1 earned run per outing. Actually, no, that is his season so far being brought up. So, interesting card here. No pop-ups. A lot of ground balls. No doubles. What is he? Tier 1 right now?
Yeah, he's a tier 1. That
feels weight, range. But I don't know why this card's 690. I feel like this card's like 550.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I would not pick this for 690.
The ground ball range is pretty bananas. And
I guess if you drafted it that way,
if he's an IP6, I don't think this is as overvalued as you think.
What's Pedro from?
He's 01. He's 700. And isn't he the same chart?
No. What's the Pedro from 2000?
From 2000, off the top of my head.
Okay, so he's a 5, 1 through 17 out, and he's 660, but he goes 7 IP, but he's got a double. So yeah, you're probably right. This actually probably is the right number. Yeah. Okay, disregard what I said. This is probably close to what it is. I just don't know if I want him.
01 Pedro has the extra IP, same control, similar chart. So like this one. Honestly, it's like maybe from the innings angle, it's a little bit, but I think what he's getting is that with the ground ball range, like that's where he's making up the points, and I think he makes up the IP difference.
I mean, yeah, if you knew you had like a 10+ infield here, I mean, this guy's if you get on base, you better hope for like bunning him over.
There's no way he's losing. Like that is like we've talked about in the past of like at what point the points you're spending is an automatic win. If you have a good infield defense, this is an automatic win. Mm-hmm. I just don't think you're going to win. Also. Have to bring it up because I see the Astros logos and I think cheating. So that made me think of our current cheating scandal. And do you think like, just like in the way in the past that in 2000, 2001, we had closer bonuses, do you think like in showdown terms, we're going to have like a new adjustment, like a new points adjustment for like sticky stuff? Like basically,
I don't, just because it's sort of been like allowed. I don't know. It's like weird.
We should get into the sticky stuff conversation maybe next time. But yeah, no, maybe Framber Valdez in sticky stuff world he's 690, but without it he's 650. You know, and he's
funny
a little worse.
Is everyone's saying that Jacob deGrom doesn't use anything. Like no one is accusing him of anything, and that's how fucking good he is.
No, I don't think he does, and that's nobody's going
ridiculous.
It's really, you're right. It is fucking ridiculous.
Like Garrett Cole, we know he's using it. Trevor Bauer talked about using it because he was like, if everyone's gonna use it, I'm gonna use it.
No, and like look, if it's all on the MLB, like short hot take. If the MLB isn't enforcing it and everybody's doing it, then players should do it and get paid. Like I hate to say that, but like that's Trevor Bauer.
Do I agree that it should be banned? Yeah, but I'm not MLB, and they need to enforce that.
Exactly. That's the crux of this whole thing.
All right, so last up, worst pitcher of the week, You get your other Texas player.
Faulty.
Old good old Faulty.
See, we can't even have just good Texas. Like, we have to like balance it out with bad. Like, this is kind of Robbie Ray shit again.
Yeah.
Like,
so
this is weird, man.
Faulty from like 2000, was it 19 or 18? Had a fucking awesome card.
It was 8. Was it 8? It was
18.
18.
I think it was 18 with the Braves.
Yeah, because I almost picked him as my.
So now you get the 6, 1 through 14 out. IP4, but he gets the homer. This one's really rough. I actually feel like I would not want to spend 90 points on a guy like this.
But he's a control 6 for less than 100.
I know. It's so wild. So this week, he pitched 2 innings, 2.2 innings, he gave 7 earned runs against the Dodgers. And the start before that, which was not this week, he pitched 3.2 innings, giving 5 earned runs. His ERA is just ballooning out of control right now. And sad to see. He had a couple good starts, but the rest of, if he gets lit up, it just snowballs. So like he's got a couple zeros and then it's like 5, 7, 5. So it sucks to see this, but yeah, interesting card. Would you draft a 90-point starter as 6 control knowing that he's got the home run?
I kind of do. I would. I'm kind of coming around on this card. Like, it's like, think about it. Like, I'm spending $220 for Yusei Kikuchi, who is a control 2, and I think he's an out through 16. So he's 17 to 19 walk, 20 double. I would way rather roll with the control 6, who I know is like, I'm going to have the advantage to get most of the outs. And like,
so that extra salary you better put in your bullpen though.
Exactly. Like, it's almost, if I think about it, it's he's the higher tier. I mean, he's a tier 3 for fucking less than 100 points. Like,
yeah, that is wild.
Dude, I kind of think this is like an early draft pick, not joking. Like, I think
so weird of a card. It just, I don't know.
Dude, your 4-starter, if this was your 4-starter, you should feel pretty good.
Oh yeah. I guess you're right. He's getting drafted because of his salary. Like, I drafted Robbie Ray because he was 10 points, and I knew I was getting a 1. I think he's a 16 out also. But I was like, for 10 points, fuck it. Who cares? This is awesome. But you're getting a 6 here, so you feel like I'm just gonna pitch 3, 4 innings. If he gets lit up, and taking him out.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, dude, I go out with my starters on like 10-point starters against you the other. Like, I had a game where I was like, I'm literally gonna lose this game. Like, I have all my relievers are spent. I don't have anybody, and guess what? My 10-point starter went out there and gave me like 4 to 5 solid innings, enough that I could I think I can go to reliever, and I still shut it down. And like, that's you're playing that game with less than, and whenever you have a starter less than 100 points, you're playing a game of they could get blown up, or they could not get blown up. And if they don't get blown up, then it was worth every penny, because the game they just gave me against you yesterday was worth all of these every single point I spent for them for the entire year was worth that win. Yeah. So
it's because you're expecting to lose every game. And if you win any game, that's value added.
I want, if they can give me 2 to 3 just okay to good innings, then I'm good.
Yep.
And then I can hope my bats can back it up. So anyway, this card makes a team, no question.
Well, thank you everybody again. That is This Week in Showdown.